Welcome. In front of me is a Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra, and today I'll show you how you can go through the setup process of this phone. Now, before I proceed any further, I will mention that this device was already set up, so this does change how we go through the setup just a little bit. So keep that in mind. And I'll point out throughout the process where those differences are. So, to get started, obviously select Start and select your desired language from the list. From there, we have Connect to Mobile Network, and this is simply an insert SIM card page, so you can do that if you want to. It looks like the phone already considers that you might have already inserted your SIM card, but I will be proceeding without it, so next without doing anything. From here we have for your review, so we have obviously the user agreement license. You need to check the first one, and the second one is optional, so you don't need to. If you're interested in what you actually are agreeing to, you can tap right here on details to view exactly what it is. But let's be honest, without actually agreeing to it, it's not like you can use the device. So I'm gonna go to the next page, which is permissions for Samsung apps and services. And in here, all you would need to do is just kind of see if you want to give the phone permissions to everything that it's listed right here. By default, everything is enabled. Okay, so there might be some things that you might want to pay a little bit more attention to, rather comparing to others. As an example, if we scroll down, we have somewhere here location. Bam. I don't really care for Samsung to have my location. They don't really have any apps that I care about for them to need my location, as an example, because what I'm going to be primarily using this device, or at least location, for is with Google services. Now, if I already have to give my data away, I might as well just give the data to the one company that does everything better. So Google Maps obviously will be better, and anything like that of that sorts will be better. So Samsung doesn't need my location at all. From there, we can go to the next page, and this is the Wi-Fi connection page. Now, I can skip this, and that is the first difference. When you're setting up this device for the very first time, when it was unboxed out of the box with the seals, the phone literally forces you to connect to Wi-Fi. For me, it's not like that. I can just skip it. So that's one thing. And I'm not entirely sure, but I think when you boot it up for the first time and you choose your region, I think it needs to also reboot, but I already kind of skipped that. Though I know that's the case for the tablets, I don't remember if that is the case for the phones. So keep that in mind. So for you most likely needed to connect to Wi-Fi, which is completely fine. It gives you, because of that, an additional page throughout the setup process, which is the Google login page. If you chose to skip it, because this is not the first time the device was set up, if you can skip it, that means that the device isn't actually brand new. So if in this case you can just skip this, and you will have the date and time show up, comparing to like if you connect it to network, it's set automatically, so this page is skipped. And from here we have also Google services, and this will obviously appear regardless if you connect it or not. So we have things like location, scanning, and sending user and diagnostic data. Now, even though I said I like to use Google services for things that are required, I will turn it off, because if I'm correct, this turns off location for everything, and if some app needs a location, it will ask for it. So by default, I think it turns off overly the GPS on the phone, and if you open up an app that needs that GPS, it will tell you that it is turned off to turn it on, and then it will ask you also for permission on top of that, so it can actually utilize it. So from there you can decide if you want to actually give that permission to the app, or if you feel like the app is a little bit more intrusive than it should be, because there is no reason for the app, for instance, to need that location. A very good example of these kind of apps are smart home appliances. They have zero effing business in where you live, because they're going over Wi-Fi. So all they need to do is connect through the Wi-Fi and know that appliances are on the same network. That's all they need. So there's zero reason for it to need your location. But as you probably are aware, they always will require your location, and without that, they won't work. So anyway, we can go to the next page now. And this is the protection page. So in here you can obviously set up some kind of screen lock. That'd be PIN, pattern, password, fingerprint, or face recognition. Now when it comes down to the first two, so the face recognition and fingerprint, if you plan to use one of those or both of them, you are always going to be required to choose one of the three below ones. So PIN, pattern, or password. And you can only choose one. So select whichever one you want to use. The reason for that is because it's a physical way of unlocking. It only gives you one option for that. And the reason you need to have one of these for fingerprint or face recognition or both is because things like face recognition and fingerprint are subject to change. So if you cut your finger like I did, and if that finger would have been my only unlocking method, I would right now have no access to my phone. So that's no bueno. So that leaves us with a PIN, pattern, or password, which doesn't really get affected by things like your finger being cut or your face being smashed in. So you can still access your data on your phone. So I'm gonna only set up a pattern right here. So all I will do is draw my pattern, tap on next, repeat that pattern, confirm, and now it's set. Now additionally, I will mention one last thing in terms of the initial setup. When you boot up the device for the very first time, it will take you way longer to go through pages, specifically the ones where it's telling you that it's getting your phone ready, than what it took me. Now the reason for that is because you needed to connect to network, it's looking for updates on top of it, and it's just absurdly long for no apparent reason. This is, I think, the longest I needed to go through setup screens on Samsung phones, at least from the brand new lineup. And no other phone had ever had that, either from Samsung or anyone else. So if you're really stuck for like several minutes on your getting your phone ready page, don't worry, this is normal. But you can obviously skip this by not connecting to network the second time around. Now additionally, going back to this page right over here, as you can see, we have the Samsung sign-in page. So right here you can obviously log into Samsung. This will give you access to primarily the most important part will be most likely the Samsung store, or Galaxy store as it's called. But if we try to skip it, you can see it gives us this entire list of things that we get to miss out on, like it's some grandiose features of this phone. And the reason why I'm kind of taking a crap at this is because if we go over basically almost everything here, it already has bases in Samsung, not Samsung, the Google, and Google was first and probably does it better. So quickly going into these, and just to prove my point, we have Samsung Cloud, which we have Google Cloud, Bixby, Hey Google, Galaxy Themes, entire Play Store, Find My Mobile, Find My Device, Samsung Pass. Google doesn't have really a name for it, but obviously as you ever logged into your pages somewhere through Chrome and stuff like that, it asks you if you want to save that password. That's basically the equivalent of it. Galaxy Store, again the Play Store, and then Secure Folder, which actually might be the only thing that is unique here that might not have the alternative or the originality of Google. So if you're planning to protect your files in a folder by putting a password on it, there you go, you can do that with the Samsung Cloud. If you're not planning to do that ever, because you already have a PIN, pattern, or password on your device, which is already a plenty good protection, you can just completely ignore this page because it provides zero value. And that brings us to almost the end, which you're all set up. So let's select finish, and there is our home screen. So anyway, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.